There's a whole fleet of them. Oh my gosh.
Whistleblowers, government employees, they're inside their government office. They see something they shouldn't.
Look at that thing. It's rotating.
More than 120 incidents over the past 2 decades are not from the U.S. military or other advanced U.S. government technology.
There are UFOs. There are non-human intelligence. We have crash retrieval programs.
Do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
Biologics came with some of these recoveries, yeah.
If this story breaks, it's the biggest story in the world. And there's a lot of knock-on things. Government, FOIA, what's true, what's not true. We're following it down just like we'd follow any other story. And if it is the biggest story in the history of humanity, we want to get into a piece of it. In podcasting, there's a long-held tradition to talk about aliens, UFOs, and abductions. So we're going to do our version of a UAP, UFO, Are There Aliens Out There? Podcast this week on Shane Smith Has Questions. We hope you enjoy it. Let's hear you in the comments. Bango. Cheers.
Yeah, it's cool.
All right, here we go. Jeremy Corbell, investigative filmmaker, UFO, UAP researcher. I want to get into the difference of when that switched. Known for your documentaries on Netflix, including, I just watched it, Bob Lazar, Area 51.
Exactly what's going on up there? What's going on up there could be the most important event in history.
But you do a lot of viral releases of military UFO footage, often through collaborations with George Knapp, and you do a podcast called Weaponized.
All of that is fact.
There you go. Okay, good.
So far, so good.
Welcome. So I have a lot of stuff I want to do. But I want to start, maybe we could just jump in with, you just released some footage today.
Yes. This is an example of one of the UFOs that our military and intelligence community is looking at, where this orb or this metallic looking ball runs alongside a spy plane. Okay, so footage.
Yeah.
Yes, you used a word viral. That's cool. It gets out there for sure to the world. And that's the point, is to get it seen from tabloid to mainstream media, democratically, instantaneously. That's the goal. Military filmed footage of what they designated UAP or UFO. So we vet it, verify it, find all the sources. George Knapp, you mentioned, is the godfather.
Sorry, this is important because if it's just somebody's thing, we made it up, this is vetted military footage, their footage.
Yes.
That.
Okay, so that distinction. So nowadays, out of the hundreds of thousands of videos that are recorded of what people think are UFOs.
Yeah.
You can't tell anymore, right? Anything can be made better than reality. But when you have chain of custody, you have cases that are passed around intelligence agencies that are guarded, that don't want the American public to see. You know that, and they're usually filmed on military platforms, those sensor systems are better. We have a sensor bias when it comes to UFO footage, because great sensors pick up thermal, heat signatures, all that stuff. So the whole point of this is that when you get something, if you can vet and verify its kind of chain of custody, its authenticity, I'm not calling these UFOs. Your government has labeled them UAP, which just means UFO basically. Yeah. And
sorry, I'm going to keep interrupting.
No, it's fine.
What's the difference? Why did we switch from UFO to UAP?
Okay. Well, originally, UFO was created to try to make a laugh factory out of the idea of unidentified flying objects.
Right.
In their infinite wisdom, truly in their infinite wisdom, people that really wanted to better describe what was being observed, they called them UAP, unidentified anomalous phenomena, because they're not just flying. They go from space to air to sea with zero inertia. So you can pop into the water without a splash. How is that possible?
Right.
So they call it all domain, right? So it goes from space to air to sea. If it's there, it's unknown, it's anomalous, UAPs. They did that to destigmatize reporting. Because if you're on a ship and you see something that you can't explain, what are you supposed to write? What it is, they used to say, I'm not writing UFO.
Yeah.
No, I'm definitely not writing you writing UFO? Nope, didn't see it. Okay, cool.
Right, because it's got a negative connotation.
Right. So now they're kind of normalizing reporting within the military and the world by saying, look, we don't know what it is. It's anomalous.
Yeah.
It's unidentified or whatever. But unidentified, anomalous phenomena. And then when you write that after
More
money-
credible.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to get off track. Mosul.
Okay, Mosul Orb.
So Mosul Orb, this is a big deal.
Yeah.
So tell me why.
Okay, yeah, we can go one for one. I can rapid fire. So check it out. Here's the brass tacks. There was a CIA plane, and it was flying over a conflict zone, an active war zone. They were targeting a terrorist compound. As they were doing that, they got what's called a passive capture of a UAP. It's spherical. It appeared spherical. So our first episode of Weaponized, mine and George Knapp's podcast, at the end, we're like, okay, you want to see what the government terms a UFO or a UAP? Here you go. But I just released a still image because at the time I was figuring out the legality of obtaining and releasing as a journalist stuff that I am not authorized to know its classification. I knew exactly where it went through. I verified it with a ton of people. It was part of a UAP product to teach people about UFOs. So I knew that was a UFO and our government had labeled it such. And I knew it was unresolved when I reported on it in 2023 with George, right? But the picture was from 2016 and the sensitivity of that compound, I don't know. You get in trouble for the compound, not the thing. So I released a still image as a way to provoke AARO, All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, kind of like the modern day Project Blue Book, but worse.
I am here to discuss the so-called flying saucers. The Air Force interest in this problem has been due to our feeling of an obligation to identify and analyze to the best of our ability anything in the air that may have the possibility of threat or menace to the United States.
I was like, put out the footage, show the American public. It got leaked to me. I obtained and released it as a journalist, so I put out a still image. Never put out the video. And then all of a sudden, I got this wicked smart friend, and he fucking sued the government. He sued the Air Force. He sued Central Command. I don't know, a bunch of people he sued. And they Freedom of Information Act request and litigated for 2 years quietly. First thing he gets, he calls me up. He goes, no way. I think I got something. No way. Jeremy, can you tell me, is this what I think it is? Boom. He sends it on my phone. I go, stop sending it. Don't tell anybody. Shut up. We're doing it next week.
Wow.
Because they would give a false sense of transparency by putting it out. What comes to light is that my reporting was correct. I wasn't talking out of my ass. Absolutely. There was 4 seconds, like I said. And if people said it was a raindrop, it was a pothole, they said all this because I just gave a still image. That's why I started doing videos. Legally obtained. And this is a huge win for journalism and a huge win for Freedom of Information Act requests and a huge win for the litigation process of journalists and any American trying to get from the government what they don't want you to see, which is that UAP are made not by us, not by China, not by Russia. I mean, some are, they're misidentified, we got a cool plane.
Yeah.
Somebody's making these machines that can outpace, outmaneuver, and outperform our greatest weapon systems. Whose are they? Well, those are the bigger questions, but all I know is the Mosul Orb dropped the footage today, legally obtained through litigation, and it proved that I was reporting correctly, that there is what appears to be a spherical ball with no drop or descent. We don't know if it's moving or if just the CIA plane was moving, but they think it's UAP. Actually, 2 days ago, it's unresolved UAP. So we reported on it, and this kid's name is Dustin Slaughter. Everybody take a note. That kid is wicked smart.
Okay, good. And he got the FOIA released.
Yes, sir.
Football season is upon us, and this season we've teamed up with BetMGM. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we have special offers for our listeners every single week. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code SHANE, that's Shaney, and you will get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Just make sure you use bonus code Shane when you sign up. And don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code Shane and get up to $1,500 first bet offer today.
So it's footage of something we don't know what it is, but it's nothing. It's not like a drone. It's not like...
Right. So we can eliminate certain things. Good whiskey, by the way. What is this?
Vichy.
Cheers.
Cheers.
This is like nice. We met each other a long ass time ago in your office, man. So, yeah, and I mean, I have opinions, and I'll give you those, but what we're seeing with every piece of footage that George Knapp and I obtain and release is what our government labels a UAP or UFO, meaning it's not our black project. It's not a known adversarial black project, adversarial nation. And it can demonstrate characteristics unlike what we have for flight and maintaining flight, like a positive lift without like winglets and engines.
Yeah.
And in the thermal realm, it gets even weirder because you don't see heat signatures. How is that possible? Everything is like rockets to roller skates. You push something out the back to go forward. These UAP don't have that same signature management, as they say. So you're like, what is it? How does it fly? Who pilots them? Some might be drones or autonomously controlled, but some of them, as reported to Congress under oath by David Grush, have had biologics inside of them.
Do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
Biologics came with some of these recoveries. Yeah.
Well, let's get into that. Hold on. Before we do, we're already into the deep stuff.
Yeah.
Before we do, I wanted to go through.
There is no light conversation about UAP. It's
Oh, there you go. Come on. I want to get into some of the more famous, let's say, video footage, and you can explain it. I'm going to get out of my chair if you can believe that. I'm coming over.
Okay.
So we're going to just go through. So that's the Mosul orb.
Yeah, which they said was a pothole when I released the image. All the debunker weirdos.
Right.
You know, it's not.
This is your one, right?
Well, I mean, not mine.
No, yeah, but you released it.
It's
Yeah.
yours.
Took off. Okay.
Okay, so this is also a more of a spherical, we think, by angle of observation. And the cool thing about this, the Navy guys, they say splash.
What was splash?
They didn't mean it made a splash. It descended, controlled descent. It was illuminated into the water. They sent a sub to try to look for it. It couldn't find it. There was 100 of these, over 100, around 10 Navy warships in a 100-mile radius. Every ship was getting comms, and I've talked to people on every single ship whose job it was to fight the ship.
Right.
And to this day, they don't know what it was.
And so the narrative there are naval officers.
Correct, yeah.
So this is the flashing pyramid.
Here's another one.
I'll sit down again.
So it's triangle.
Yeah.
It's triangle by angle of observation.
Yeah.
Now, some people say bokeh, and I say, okay, because the thing is they're saying there's a lens problem. The problem with their theory is that this was range found on the back of the ship. These were objects that, no matter what shape they were, they shouldn't have been there. So they were objects off the aft or the tail of the USS Russell in that. And he used a night vision PBS 14 to film through. I didn't call these UAP. Your government did.
Right.
I did not call them triangle by angle of observation, pyramid in shape. Your government did. I actually interviewed the guy who had 2 optical physicists look at this, and that's what they said. So I reported the news, and what people do with that, that's up to them.
Yeah, sure. I get it. So this is the large disc UFO.
This one blew me the away.
Right.
So again, every piece of footage I put out, you're going to have alternate theories, and part of the reason I put it out is to get those theories.
Yeah.
But our government labeled this, get this is my enhancement. I shouldn't even wrote that. All we did was change contrast, whatever, not creating anything new. That is, in my eyes, circular by angle of observation. So it could be a globe, could be a disc. Your government labeled it UAP. This is an Air Force asset with a passive capture in thermal. So it's up there going, and it captures this. They labeled it disc navigating through clouds. They didn't label this our secret project. They didn't label this a Chinese, a Russian. How does this thing propel, if it's indeed propelling, right? How does it propel if it doesn't have the traditional heat signatures?
Right.
Now, I'm open to other interpretation. Maybe some genius going to figure out what this is. Tell our government, because to this day, this is unresolved to them.
Right.
They're like, this is a craft, it's disc-shaped, whose is it?
Right.
Now, I'm not a scientist, but I've just looked at a lot of this footage now. I got questions like anybody with a bone in their body curious about the nature of reality.
Right.
Is there a part of our history and nature that we're not allowed to know?
Yeah. Well, that's the bigger. We're starting small.
I'm sorry.
We're getting there.
I'm following your lead, brother.
Okay, so we got the...
You gave me the whiskey.
There you go. We got the Iraq.
You got my greatest hits up here.
There we go.
I remember seeing something
I didn't laze it to see the exact how many meters it was away, but just me observing it, I'm gonna say it's probably about 200 meters. I kind of see something raise up, an object kind of come off the floor from that distance. This is weird. What the hell is this? I grabbed my camera, I had a little black Pelican case, popped it open, and it started filming. So I was looking through my camera screen and seen it raise up and keep continually raising.
So this is a big one, right?
So why this is important is because when you look at the shape, like a sombrero, bro.
Right,
like we don't have anything that's a camera. He's on a gunner and he's filming through the gunner optics, night vision, and the kid's talking. He tells you exactly. I interview him and put it over the footage. So he's out in, I think, Iraq, and he's out there, and this is 2008. The gimbal footage is some of the most famous UFO footage that's out there by military. Look at that shape. So that's kind of...
Facet.
It's crazy to me that, and he filmed it. Kid's smart. He knew it was important the second he saw it because you could range find.
So he's filming it through his sights.
He's got a phone and he's holding it up to the camera's optic system, which is in green night vision infrared, similar to thermal, but it's more of like you can see in the dark better.
Right.
See the clouds.
And so this one caused a lot of...
Dude, they all cause a lot of waves because everybody's trying to solve a puzzle, and puzzles are fascinating. And the question
what's the biggest one that we're doing the Tic Tac?
Well, this is the 2023. So this one is from 2023. So that got leaked to me and George Knapp, and we produced it, put it out. And one of the people that was there, you can actually hear him on the footage, was like, okay, if you guys really do have it, I'm going to tell you what happened that night. And that's that guy, Alexander Wiggins. And look, he's an active Navy, one of the top dogs. Like, he has a family. I'm like, are you sure you want to? He's like, I want to. This is important because what I saw that night is so powerful and people need to know about it. But this is a Tic Tac shaped by thermal. This gives us the idea of what Commander Fravor chased for the United States military, which was a Tic Tac shaped object that he was up close to.
As we proceeded to the west, the air controller was counting down the range to an object that we were going to, and we were unaware of what we were going to see when we arrived. The controller told us that these objects had been observed for over 2 weeks, coming down from over 80,000 feet, rapidly descending to 20,000 feet, hanging out for hours, and then going straight back up. For those who don't realize, above 80,000 feet is space.
He went in front of Congress and said, we don't have that technology now. We won't have that technology in 10 years. He goes, we're not even trying to think of having that technology in 10 years. And he goes, I would know. And what people that don't know is that he has a classified job right now, which would give him insight. That's why he testified to Congress. He chased a Tic Tac UFO.
As we pulled nose onto the object, within about a half mile of it, it rapidly accelerated in front of us and disappeared. Our wingmen, roughly 8,000 feet above us, lost contact also. We immediately turned back to see where the whitewater was at, and it was gone also. So as you started to turn back towards the east, the controller came up and said, sir, you're not going to believe this, but that thing is at your cat point, roughly 60 miles away in less than a minute. You can calculate the speed. We returned to Nimitz. We were taking off our gear. We were talking to one of my crews that was getting ready to launch. We mentioned it to them, and they went out and luckily got the video that you see, that 90-second video. What you don't see is the radar tape that was never released, and we don't know where it's at, of the active jamming that the object put on an APG-73 radar.
Now, we talked to a guy who was in the Navy, Ryan Graves.
Ryan Graves was the guy from the Red Rippers, I think.
Here we go. Ryan Graves, former lieutenant and fighter pilot in the U.S. Navy. You're the first active duty pilot to come forward publicly about sightings of unidentified aerial phenomenon, or UAPs.
This disturbing pattern of incursions that are similar in nature over a multi-year period that seem to be growing in scale and concern, frankly. I mean, after a while, when you hear hundreds of reports from professionals, from elected politicians, from others that just say, I've never seen anything like this. It kind of looked like a plane. It didn't, but the way it was moving, altitudes, the way they're operating together, just not like anything I've seen. It's hard to discount that information.
So he's a good dude. So basically, he's come out and said, look, this is an aviation safety issue, if nothing else. If nothing else, my boys are out there, and every single day. So Ryan never saw one. He chased one. We tried to go after it. He couldn't see it with his eyes, but they get him on radar.
They were very solid, and they were behaving almost like an aircraft, right? They were stationary in the air. In high winds at various altitudes. They were sometimes a circular pattern, sometimes in what we call a racetrack pattern. One of these objects went right in between the two fighters that were about 150 feet apart. Came within about 50 feet of the lead aircraft, went down their right side. Pilot, weapon system officer gained a visual sighting of it. They ended up canceling their flight, returning home. And that's when I met him in the ready room, and he just had this, look of shock on his face. His mouth was hanging open. And he's like, I almost hit one of those damn things. Well, what did it look like? Simple description. He said it looked like a dark gray or a black cube inside of a clear sphere.
Wow.
About 5 to 15 feet in diameter.
Every damn day, they're seeing cubes with spherical auras. And it's not just perplexing because they're on mission. It's a safety of flight issue because one came right between two planes going in. You get a collision going 500 miles an hour, you're man. It doesn't matter if it's a seagull, right? Yeah. So Ryan Graves did testify to Congress that, look, this is a safety of flight issue. So if nothing else, if you don't want to talk about UFOs, we got to talk about that.
That's right.
So that's why I love what Ryan does is he's bringing it to like brass tacks.
Well, he's also, like he's a naval pilot, and he's out there, his wing saw it. They also, they reported it.
Yeah.
Now,
he tried to go after one time. I asked him, he tried to go after one, but he couldn't optically see it just on the radar. Sometimes you don't see him visually.
Hello, Bango, and welcome to our BetMGM Lightning Round with Jeremy Corbell.
All right, we're here, the man, the machine, Jeremy Corbell. Let's do a lightning round. What's the over-under on the U.S. government admitting that they actually have a UFO in storage by 2026?
They've already admitted that on my show, Weaponized. The head of the DIA UFO program already admitted that we had one UAP and we've breached the whole of it. So I'd say that's 100% because it's already been admitted.
Okay, let's make it simple. If Earth is Vegas and UFO sightings are the games, how many points would you spot the skeptics versus the believers?
Yeah, so both can be equally out of this world. They have a fervent belief. But when you talk about debunkers compared to people that actually research it, I would say the debunkers have lost incredibly because the preposterous preponderance of evidence that has been collected and looked at, even by our own government, is so high. Big time losers. I won't call them skeptics, but debunkers.
If you had to make a bet on which country comes clean about UFOs, US, Russia, or China, where are you putting your chips?
Yeah, actually, we got really, really close to the Five Eyes Alliance through Canada. They actually wrote a document saying we need to get ahead of this or our population will no longer trust us. And so I'd go out of left field here and I'd say we might learn about this from one of the Five Eyes countries. And I would say that's most likely going to be the most honest, which is Canada.
I like it.
The U.S. is going to come in and control the narrative.
I like it. I like going off-piste, as they say. And it's Canada for the win. The nice Canadians are going to let the cat out of the bag. Thanks for taking the time. Really appreciate it. Bazango.
I love it.
Well, I used to say bango, and then I got bored, so now I say bazango. We got a lot of military footage now, and we have a lot of military people. They're testifying. And, one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you is it seems like for the last few years anyways, there's been sort of more of a fever pitch, like something's going to break, like, something's coming, in the community, people are, oh my God, something's coming.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's gone from fringe. And I remember talking to a bunch of people, and then there was going to be this Congress and, congressional hearings. And
we had multiple.
And so you talked about the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or AARO. And so this comes out and they say, yeah, no, there's nothing to see here. What?
They didn't quite say that.
Well, what did they say?
Okay. So as a journalist, it's the paper trail. If you ask George Knapp, who's been doing this for 40 years, that's why you know about Area 51, Bob Lazar, flying saucers. It's the paper trail. He was lied to, and he knew he was lied to. And that pisses off anybody if you're lied to. The UFO thing you've been lied to about. I don't know what it is ultimately, but I know you've been lied to. So similarly for me, my entry point, my gateway drug was that, well, if Bob Lazar's telling the truth.
Bob Lazar claims our government captured alien spaceships, UFOs, and keeps them in a secret warehouse.
They are actively and have in their possession alien spacecraft, and they are actively undergoing analysis.
Then distance doesn't matter anymore. If they have a different propulsion system, million years ahead of us in physics, let's say, then if they're out there, which everybody agrees with, right? It's a universe is teeming with suns. Just look up at the stars. Every star is a sun with orbiting planets, probably in the Goldilocks zone. So if there's life out there, because we ain't that special, are they coming here? That's where the conversation has now turned. And I think that's what you're feeling, is that we're realizing we don't know everything. And it's possible there are things in physics and science and nature that we are discovering, right? So the question is, whose machines are these? Now, when you kind of back up a little bit and you look at this and you say, okay, I don't know everything, it's possible. Then you come into the just conflicted reality that UFOs are not in movies and magazines and popular thought and pop culture because we created that idea. They're there because people are seeing them. They've been seeing them a long time. It's part of every single culture on every single planet, homogenous around the world. I don't know a single person who at least doesn't know somebody who's had some sort of unidentified sighting. So the elephant in the room is that our government didn't say nothing to see here, move on this time.
Right, okay.
And that's
what do they say?
What they admitted is that UFOs are real, that there are craft that do things that we can't explain, that we need, like an alcoholic, you need to admit there's a problem before you can start working on a solution. They've admitted UFOs are real. Officially, our government has told you UFOs are real, that we don't know how or who, we have suspect how they might operate, but we don't know who's operating them. So everybody's been told, but they didn't hear it. That is official. But that's where it stops. They don't want you asking any more questions. And I know that because we have fought tooth and nail.
But why? Why don't they want us to? It doesn't make sense.
Now it does make perfect sense once you hear the answer.
Tell me why.
Originally, back in the nuclear time, it was for strategic advantage. If you can get derivative, exploitative technology, so if you can
like
exploit, well, almost there, if you can exploit any technologies for derivative technologies, just like how Russia will take and back engineer one of our bombers and figure it out, right? Then you have a strategic advantage. So I get it. Back in the day, why they didn't want us to know about this is because they thought, and this is documented.
During the Cold War.
Well, they thought first people would go crazy. Then that's been debunked. That like the War of the Worlds thing, nobody went crazy for that. Nobody went wild. Then they're like, maybe it'll upturn people's religious ideas. And they realized, no, it won't. Most religions are like inclusive of all of God's creations. So then they thought, well, this is really important. If we can get derivative technologies through exploitation of these craft, then we would have a strategic advantage. And whoever gets there first, they win. Because it's clear that these craft are operating off of a propulsion and energy system that is different than what we have as far as reactionary propulsion. So that I understand. I understand that back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, that we needed to protect that information to exploit the actual craft and actual hardware and the propulsion systems that we have obtained, which we have, and you've been told by people in position to know very publicly, even the number of craft in the U.S. that they believe we have.
Not in the 9 that Bob Lazar said.
Well, there's several, actually 9 flying saucers, flying discs that are out there of extraterrestrial origin.
That's different. See, people don't trust Bob, except everything that he's said is now becoming fact. That's fucking weird. He must be the luckiest liar I've ever met.
What facts, for example? Like, you're obviously, knee deep in the weeds, but for laymen.
Dude, I'm deep in the weeds or above.
So there we go. Bob Lazar famous for he worked at...
Bob Lazar worked at Area 51, a subsite called S4, Site 4. He claimed that there were 9 flying discs and that he was working on one of them. And he was actually able to enter it at one time to see what it was. And that's when he dawned on him it was not ours because the seats were too small.
They were for someone half the size. And also the propulsion system.
Right. And so that's a complex briar patch of a story, but all you got to know is you don't got to trust Bob Lazar to know the truth about UFOs. Although you should, because he's trustworthy and he told you the truth as it happened. But I'm the guy that made the movie on him and knows him as a friend.
So you made you made a documentary on him. And then where the hell is Barry?
It's a great question.
Where is Barry?
Yeah, how did you jump from I want to know about UFOs to where's Barry, because that's a great question. And George Knapp and I think that we found Barry a couple times and wasn't sure we did. And now Barry maybe dead. We don't know.
No.
Dennis, his boss, when Bob Lazar famously went on the news, it was hilarious. He called himself Dennis as a pseudonym. This is like a you to his boss. Because if you know Bob, you know that's how he rolls, right? Damn, I don't know if he regrets that now because his life got turned upside down. Here's a guy who never, ever benefited from telling his story. It only hurt him, and I know his family. So I know that to be true. So if he's the luckiest liar I ever met, or he's absolutely told you how it happened, but that's for you to decide, not me. But if you trust anything I have to say, I believe Bob with all of my heart and all of my mind. And so here we go. Big picture. Let's just step back 1 second here. What Bob Lazar told you is that the government had flying saucers. They were all weird shaped though. That he worked on one. That they couldn't make progress. That every day going to work was like working on a nuclear reactor from like some other country and you have no idea how it works. It was scary to him.
Yeah.
Turns out that in Congress, under oath, people were raising their hand and they were saying, we have a reverse engineering program for UFOs. There are biologics inside some of those crash retrievals, but I'm not going to call them necessarily crash retrievals because some of them seem more like gifts. Bob even said that one of them, he believes, was from an archaeological dig. It doesn't matter. You've been told now that we have these programs to exploit the technologies, and there are biologics on the craft, and Bob happened to say 9. It's really funny because just recently, Hal Puthoff, who's a man who's been involved with all these programs, he goes, if I told you everything, they'd kill me. He said, I can't. He's a very serious scientist that worked on all these black projects, renowned in the scientific community. He was at SRI, Stanford Research Institute, studying Uri Geller and psychic phenomenon. Anything weird, you call Hal Puthoff, right? So this is a guy that has impeccable credentials working for our intelligence agencies on this stuff. And he straight said the number that he's pretty sure the United States has, I think is wrong. I think we have more. But that's where Bob, what he said, just keeps hitting you in the face because what he said ends up being where we are now.
There are 9 UFOs that office has helped with going out and retrieving, and that 2 of them are actually intact craft.
When the door was open and I went into the main hangar, I could see there were other hangars as I walked by, and they went pretty far down. I could clearly see 2 craft in there.
And we all want to believe. And actually, not me. A lot of people want to believe in UFOs, but UFOs are not a matter of belief.
Well, here's my problem with it is so we have UFOs and we reverse engineer the technology. So we're like, okay, like how can we, let's Cold War. Okay, let's follow that trajectory. So we say we've got some technology, we want to reverse engineer it so we can have an advantage against the Soviet Union.
That's the old school thought of secrecy.
Yeah, but I'm like, okay, I get that and I understand that. But this would literally be the biggest story ever.
Yes, sir.
Ever.
Yes.
So I don't even care necessarily so much about the UAPs or the UFOs or anything. That's just a physical manifestation of, hey, hold on a second. We're not alone. Where are they from? What has been the interaction? Is that religion? Is it not? Is it part of religion? All of these questions that we have, humanity. I mean, that's why to me, and it's quite a large question in that, okay, if we have these things or we're looking to solve these things, that's actually the tip of the iceberg to a much bigger, and this is what I want to say, there's a much bigger philosophical question of what does that mean for everything, So for me, all of these things that we're finding out now, like dark matter, dark energy, weakly interacting molecular particles, all this stuff. So obviously a lot of these things are coming out now. So science, physics is being sort of turned on its ear. And we have, since Snowden and, we have whistleblowers are not necessarily a bad thing. So, more people are coming, military people.
It's a good thing.
And so for me, and this is why I wanted to talk to you today is, and I just wanted to get some of the mechanics of it down, but okay, to go back to the government, whoever breaks this story, but whoever gets there first, so for example...
Not break the story if they crack the technology.
Or crack the technology.
The material science.
But also break the story of, hey, we found, or they gave it to us, or we found, or we're friends, or we know.
That story done been broken.
By who?
It's already been done. See, people, if you don't know that, you haven't been paying attention. But I understand.
But I don't know that because it hasn't been unequivocally proved. Because if I knew, we wouldn't be having this discussion.
So, what's your barometer for truth? Like, do you need to walk into I'll just say a craft that can travel in space, not made by humans? That's why they changed it to, remember, UFO, UAP. It's no longer aliens. They call them NHI, non-human intelligence, which is way better. Right. It's smart. It was listed like 27 times in congressional, in a senatorial legislation called the Disclosure Act, where they're trying to pry the technology out of the hands of like Lockheed Martin, who were unfairly given the contracts for these things because there was no process of letting other people bid on, can I work on this? Right. Because they wanted to hide them in black budget programs. That's proven fact, what I just told you. So, and I can get you there if you got a couple hours and a few more bottles of whiskey. Yeah, I'm just saying, but like your point is very fair. I do like your problem, as you said, because you jumped from, the sand to the stars. You were like, okay, but what? If it's true, I should know about it. And
if it's true, it means so much more is what I'm saying.
But what is your barometer of proof? Yeah. Like, I know it's different for everybody. And for me, there were some real solid, hard lines of like, I need to know if I'm wasting my life. And it started with me, with seeing the lies. And I have gone high up the food chain, as high as I can imagine at this point, which is I'm trying to reimagine things. Where you get to people who actually physically worked on these non-human intelligence craft, and they're thinking about coming forward to testify in front of Congress at their own detriment. That is real. Those conversations are happening. And so that's kind of where we're at, is what is proof for the world?
Okay, I'll tell you what proof is.
Yeah.
So there's not that much difference between this, where we went through the video footage, and like in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, it's like a thing and it's an orb and it moves and it's weird and, it hasn't changed that much. Right?
It's the UFO phenomenon?
No. Just the footage is never like, wow, there it is.
Well, I disagree.
Okay. Well, I'm a layman. You're an expert.
Yeah. No, people say I'm aggressive. I'm not being aggressive. I'm just
I'm just talking about proof.
Yeah.
So proof, you want some unequivocal proof. The other thing would be, okay, if they do have, let's see the machines. Let's see these things.
Yes.
A, and then B, okay, if there are so-called biologics or whatever, this is the biggest story. This is humanity now. And also, we have these things where we're going to release the JFK things. We're going to release the thing. We're going to release all this footage. We're going to put people.
How's that worked out?
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's since whoever, JFK till now, that means every president, every national security advisor. Okay. So
not every president is told the same amount of information. I know that for a fact. I know people that has brief presidents on that.
So that's the whole thing. Like the amount of, if it's the biggest story ever, right?
Yes, it is.
Then the amount of people that know about the biggest story ever. And the only guy we've got is Bob Lazar sort of coming out.
No, you got tons of people. You have directors of national security coming out and admitting that we don't know what these are. So that's the thing. I think it takes a kind of a critical mass of information. Videos and everything I'm doing in journalism, it's glitter. It's glitter around the big.
But it's all we have. You're providing the proof. It's all we have now. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're trying to use investigative journalism to force them to tell us the truth so that we have the proof, so that we can sit here and say, okay, now we saw the machines and now this means, because what's the next step and the next step and the third step?
I'm not trying to force them. I'm trying to force us, because we have representative government, man. There's people have been hiding this and holding it so tightly. And unless somebody gives me a good reason, I'm not stopping. But yeah, we're trying to use investigative journalism to poke holes, to show, either hold them accountable or show how they lied. It's one or the other. And so, yeah, that is part of the mission,
the end of your mission, if you will, would be, okay, they open up Area 51 and we see the 9
No,
crafts.
there are secrets that should stay there for national security. Yeah, absolutely. Secrets are kept and they should be kept, but not about nature and the fundamental reality that we live in. Like, for example, to give you a hardcore example, we all know that there's nuclear science. We do not know how to make a nuclear bomb at home in our living room. Fine. You've admitted that atomic bombs exist. You've admitted that we know how to make them. You've also admitted that there's a whole element of science dedicated to nuclear science. That doesn't mean you're giving people the codes to how to make nuclear weapons. So same thing. You said Area 51 is sure. There's tons of stuff that should remain secret, but the fundamental essence of it is nobody's right to hold that back from humankind if we're not alone in the universe. It's the biggest story of all time, even if they're from here originally, just from a long time ago. If that ends up being what it is, and it's not something bigger than my head, like interdimensional, I can't even live in this dimension. I don't know the ultimate reality. There's extraterrestrial, extratemporal, interdimensional, ultra-terrestrial, meaning they're from here. I don't care. I don't care about the nuclear.
Sorry. What's ultra-terrestrial?
That's like they're from here. They just predate us, right? Or
like a time.
Or they live here, or maybe a long time ago.
Live
Civilization,
us,
breakaway civilization, ultra-terrestrial. But the thing is too, they could just be here as like a waypoint, man.
Yeah. Well, so again, there's a million questions. If, in fact, you go with the hypothesis, okay, if there are machines, if there is technology, which you're taking as a given.
No, I'm not taking it as a given. I know it's true.
Okay. So if that's true, then obviously there's, what is it called? Non-human intelligence?
Yeah, NHI is the new hip term.
I like it.
Yeah.
So then there's NHIs. Now that is just the beginning.
It is.
That's
correct.
the springboard into all of these discussions. So for me, which is why I'm going to be honest with you. I have two reasons.
Please always be honest.
Because if in the near future this story breaks, it's the biggest story in the world, which means you've worked on it a long time, but I'm going to have this in the can. So we'll be part of the biggest story ever breaking.
I hope it does.
So we're following it down just like we'd follow any other story. And if it is the biggest story in the history of humanity,
tell the next
we
story.
want to get into a piece of it. Now, and so, B, just philosophically, it brings up a lot of questions, which I'm interested in. And there's a lot of knock-on things. For example, government, FOIA, what's true, what's not true, what are they keeping? If they are keeping, what are they keeping and for what reason?
The DOJ does not like what I do for a living.
Hi, it's Shane Smith. Now, before we get back to it, I wanted to let you know about my new Substack. I'm shanesmith.substack.com. Now, I'm going to be posting a lot of new content there, from extended versions of this show to behind-the-scenes stories from my adventures all over the world with Vice. Now, the best part, it's free if you sign up now. So go to shanesmith.substack.com and enter your email. That's it, shanesmith.substack.com. Or click the link below, and now on with the show, which rhymes with Bazango. Maybe let's go into that, because you did the documentary. What happened to Bob Lazar with that sort of fallout of he started talking and then there was theoretically some government pushback or whatever?
I feel like the least qualified person to be in the position that I'm in when it comes to journalism. Right. I feel like Inspector Clouseau, is that funny French dude? Yeah. More handsome, but like. What happened with that was George Knapp, investigative reporter out of Las Vegas, didn't have somebody to fill the time slot.
Who among us has not heard about an alleged UFO cover-up?
I saw that footage. So she got him in the van.
Just did a blur out of his face because he was already under threat. The reason he did that was for self-protection. The man that put him in that car was John Lear. He was like, dude, you got to come forward, Bob.
So he was doing that, so if you correct me if I'm wrong, so that he could have it out there so no one would kill him, because he
was literally fearing
record.
For his life because of what he says happened to him that we verified a lot of. He was fearing for his life. George unknowingly, said the guy John Lear had some trust with George because he had talked to George's mentor about the stealth fighter, and he was right about it at 51. John Lear was like the godfather.
The existence of the stealth fighter or the development.
John Lear's dad was William P. Lear, inventor of the Learjet, the 8-track stereo. And, he was like really up there in the echelon. So everybody revered John. He flew all these CIA flights and shit. So people were like, John would come in and talk about things that actually were true out at Area 51. And they're like, cool. So when he came and talked about this, George sees him, budding journalist at the time. He goes, oh, look at those. I'll listen to that. He looks into it. That's kind of how it all started. Was he called John and goes, hey, you got that guy that might want to break from the fold from 51 and maybe go on camera, just shot in the dark. John's like, yeah, no problem. Come on
It wasn't
over.
like he was chasing the lead. It just,
No, he didn't. He literally had somebody
Had some
drop
time.
out of his
Yeah,
show
yeah.
and like in real time had to
which is kind of interesting because in the documentary, it sort of feels that way. Like, we just got this guy, we did it. And then he's like, then it got picked up all over the world by Dead Bad News, and then it became a big news story.
Tonight, it's a chilling scenario with worldwide implications that may have its roots right here. This week, we've heard the contention of UFO researchers that there's a secret government within our government.
And George's like, all right, take this seriously. And then he dug in to,
Exactly.
is Bob a
Yeah.
lying piece of shit? Or is he telling the truth? Turns out he's telling the truth. That's what George came to.
What I find interesting about it is, I have two minds of it. When he throws away stuff, well, then we walk in, and on the right there's the gray thing, and on the right there's the orange thing. Like, it was pretty involved. Like, so just as throwaway facts.
Yeah, oh yeah, the way he told, Bob Lazar told what happened to him.
Yeah.
He had a lot of detail, right?
Yeah, a lot of detail.
Crazy.
So that rings true. But then, like, and especially on the Rogan thing, it would be like, well, what's that? Well, I don't remember.
Have you ever asked anyone where they got him or how they got him?
No, but something must have been said to me. But it was just too long ago, and I can't quite remember what was said, but it just left a seed in my mind. I think at least one of them was part of an archaeological dig.
You got to understand, Bob, that how many years ago? 35. By the time I got him on that show with Rogan, first of all, it was not easy. Like, Bob didn't want to come forward. I honestly convinced him that everybody's going to make up lies about him and that will be his history unless he talked for himself. It's like,
that's true.
It's like getting the Bigfoot on camera, right? Like, he had not gone on camera except these tiny little snippets with George out of loyalty for like 35 years to finally get him and make a documentary. He didn't get for my documentary. He just got grief.
I don't like being in the public eye. I don't got money for doing this. And quite frankly, I could make up a better lie, but I have no motivation to lie.
And so it was like, the fact he did it, I was like really proud of him as a human being to put himself back out there. There's a new thing they're making on him where they replicate the whole thing that he saw, because everybody wants to know, what did it really look like? So hopefully he gets something out of it, but like, it's his life story, but like, they're finally going to show you what it looks like in the hangar. But yeah, look, man, if we're sitting here and you think you're going to get to the bottom of UFOs by figuring out if Bob Lazar is telling the truth, then you're as lost as I was back then. It's not going to teach you anything.
I'm just starting at the beginning.
This is Shane asks questions,
Yeah,
right?
that's right. So I was starting at the beginning. So you get into it.
Right.
By making the movie about that.
Can I tell you that story instead? Okay, yeah.
100%.
I heard Bob Lazar on the radio, and it was George Knapp, and he is talking about propulsion, and he's saying that it's a gravity well. These things are propelled by gravity and a thing called element 115, which we believe is correct. He's not sure on everything, but that it falls into space-time. And I thought, how fucking weird. I'm a 13-year-old idiot kid, right? I listen to Metallica. I don't give a about this stuff. I hear him explain it. And it's like, wait a second. So I was doing jujitsu, right? So I knew a little bit about mechanics. It falls into place. I'm like, that's weird. It flipped my script. I was like, wait a second. If that's true, then points in space and time are connected, and it doesn't take light speed and thousands of years to get somewhere. It's instantaneous. And I go, I want to know if that's true.
Right.
But I'm 13 years old and I don't know anybody, and what the hell? So I went off and started doing jujitsu and all this other shit. And then I kind of came back to it, and I was like, I really want to know if that guy's telling the truth. He's been consistent now for like 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's going on? But there's no way. How do I get to someone like that?
Yeah.
There's no way. But then somebody gave me one of these cameras, just a little Canon 5D. First person I pointed it at, they spilled the beans about they didn't even tell their wife about. Right. And I'm like, this is my passport into my curiousness. This is what I can do. It is my passport. So I would point that at people and tell them, yeah, I'm going to make a movie. I'd never made a movie in my life. I'm making a film. Yeah. And they'd start spilling. And then I think I'm charming. So what would happen is people would continue to talk with me. Right. And over years, I started filming this guy, John Lear, and George Knapp got wind of it. And then one day he called me back after 2 years of me leaving messages for him at his news station and emailing him.
In Vegas.
And it was like, the longest pause in telephone history. I think he was eating a sandwich, but he gave me his time and he told me. And I was like, okay, I'm genuine. I'm not trying to hurt anybody. I just want to know. That's how I got started with George Knapp. Gave me a chance. He gave me a chance, even though I was not a journalist at the time. He's been mentoring me in journalism for 11, 12 years now. And so that was the entry point. And each time I earned some trust, they spread that around.
Right.
So you get to Commander Fravor, the most famous UFO case of all time now is 2004 Tic Tac. There's this bearded, tattooed guy that calls him up from the desert. And I'm like, hey, man, I heard from a friend that you chased a UFO. Who are you? How'd you hear that? What are you talking about? I mean, I got coaching from my friends how to speak pilot before I called him. I'm not that dumb, right? So I earned his trust. And when I kept his trust and didn't break the story, although we did kind of break it twice on a radio show with his permission to a degree, didn't put his name or face out there. And I called him. I said, you're on the fucking news. I told you your story was important and it's never going away. And it's coming out with or without me.
This is the story of the Tic Tac?
Yeah, Commander David Fravor, who's a good friend of mine, right? So I think when I didn't break his trust, because apparently I'm the only person that keeps their mouth shut when you ask them to, and that's a super talent, and I didn't know that. I did that for him, because I promised him, and that spread around. And so all those things compiled, all of a sudden, people tell me more than I want to know, and they tell me shit I shouldn't know. And I report on 1% of it.
How do you sit on all this stuff?
Clearly, I'm a relaxed person. That's what I remember about you the first time I met you. You had a laugh, man.
Oh, yeah.
You came in like you had something around your neck, like a big piece of jewelry. You walk into Vice like this, and you laughed like loud. I was like, that guy's having a good time.
Sure. Life is good.
Life is good.
Especially if we can break the story on...
We're not going to break it, man. Come on.
Why?
We're not going to break it.
Why?
Because the opposition to this.
If there's evidence out there,
there's preposterous preponderance of evidence.
If there's actual technology, machines, whatever you want to call them.
They're not going to let us in, bro.
But we've reached a time when, keeping these, okay, maybe in the 50s and the 60s during the Cold War and the Army and everything, but we've reached a time when, if it's going to hold, it's not going to hold much longer.
You hear that, everybody? I'm talking right to the camera. It ain't going to hold. Shane said so. I agree. Let the information out.
Let the information
There's
out.
a nuclear program, right? We know about nukes. UFOs are real. There are non-human intelligence engaging humanity on a regular basis, durationally. Okay, we can handle it.
Well, we have to get the sort of unequivocal proof whether we beat the government at their own game, which is doable.
I'm not against them. I want to work with them.
Okay, work with them.
I do because...
But hold on. But they've proven themselves, if we follow the logic path, they've proven themselves adversarial.
Who are they? So I know a lot of people in government that are fighting with me to get this information out. That is 90% of my experience.
Well, obviously they're fighting against someone who's keeping the information in.
That's true, but it's a very small minority of people with great power.
Yeah.
And responsibility, but power. So, I mean, I'm kind of making fun as we're joking, like I want it broken too. Yes, this is the biggest story.
Yeah.
And I happen to know it's true. And yeah, that eats me inside at night. But I have a dog, I have a wife, I have a family, I have a good life. It's not going to kill me if the story doesn't break. And I'm certainly the wrong messenger to break it. There are people that are better suited to tell you what's going on. It's not my responsibility either. But I just feel like if anybody takes as much time to look at this issue that they do on simply looking at hairstyles on Instagram, then they're going to know that this is true. And they're going to demand the answers because, and this is the part where we get serious. You will see my day-to-day soon because my best weapon was my camera and letting somebody film me through these moments that were hard. You'll see me at my worst point. That's coming out and I'm okay with that because I want people to see. But if you can kind of see this.
So this is like a documentary or?
Yeah, I shouldn't say anything, but this kid's been like, when I was going through some of the threats that I have received, when I have been going through hard times like that, the only defense I had was to record everything, wired up all the time. Everything's filmed, and you're going to see that. You're going to see it, how it really happened. And I'm happy about that, because then people will have a level of trust, that I think is necessary for this conversation. We have to have trust. There's a lot of crazy people when it comes into government and it comes into this thing, because it triggers this shielding into religion, or this triggers this shielding into I'm smart, or I'm scared of the unknown. So there's this whole thing that happens existentially. You get what I call ontological shock. I looked up the word, I believe I'm correct. Ontological shock, the existence of being, I think that word means. So that happens to people. But I told you I'm going to get serious. So let me get serious for a second. What I do, not as a journalist, is I have facilitated whistleblowers, government employees who have had repercussions due to sometimes accidental spillage to the UAP topic. So they're inside their government office, they see something they shouldn't. What has happened to some of these people is criminal, 100% provable in the court of law. It's criminal. And you will see that. It will be reported on, and everybody can be judge, jury, and executioner. That's up to them. I'm going to report the news, though. So that has happened to too many people. So here's the deal. Whistleblowers come to me, or I find them. Half of what I do is putting together people that say, I'll protect you, and people that say, I've had an experience that I believe. And you will see that in Congress if they have courage and they do their job, and I will supply them those whistleblowers who are government vetted 4 years by me and George Knapp. This is not casual. I know what they drink. I know who they hang with. I know where they worked, and I verified it with people on the inside and sources that I've never.
Who's the biggest whistleblower
so far?
Right now, so far, yeah.
David Grush.
Mr. Grush, as a result of your previous government work, have you met with people with direct knowledge or have direct knowledge yourself of non-human origin craft?
Yes, I personally interviewed those individuals.
So give me his story.
David Grush came to me and George Knapp at a bar, like all good stories start. It was a spook bar, and it was for, a UAP-related thing. And he handed George Knapp, trusted journalist, his ICIG complaint. Intelligence Community Inspector General complaint, before he submitted it. I believe, or maybe after he submitted it. He wanted journalists to know that could shield him. Inspector General means like the police of. So the police of the intelligence community.
Yeah.
Okay. I hope we get a good new one, by the way. But anyway, they deemed his report credible and urgent.
The Inspector General did.
He was tasked as a veteran and an intelligence officer. He was tasked by the UAPTF, run by a great guy named Jay Stratton, who ran the UFO program, that part, the UAPTF, UAP Task Force.
For who?
For our DOD. But he was transparent.
So he's a government employee.
Yeah, he was. And he was transparent as best he could with the American public. I really admire him for that. People have all these opinions on who's spooks, who's not spooks. They think I'm CIA. Where's my fucking paycheck? All I get is grief. So here's the deal. David Grush, he does his ICIG complaint. He was who he said he was. He was in the positions he said. He was specifically tasked by the UAP Task Force and Jay Stratton to investigate the black budget programs that deal with UFOs and non-human intelligence and tell us, are they hiding? And he did. And he hit pay dirt. And he did everything he could to tell what was going on internally as an intelligence agent. And it's his story to tell, but it didn't go well. So he did a complaint, like going to the police and HR, and this is really serious. And they said,
so I did my job. I did what I was supposed to do.
And now
So I'm going to make a complaint, and this is the paperwork that.
Yeah, but he's a fastidious mother.
Right.
So he didn't just make a complaint. He brought in 40 witnesses. Right. And he had them also testify under oath to all of them and give written statements and verbal statements, recorded statements, people that worked in these UFO programs. So that's his move. He's a gangster, right? You don't f*** David Grush.
What was the reaction?
Well, it's a mixed bag, isn't it now? Because what's happened is he came forward, and finally with me and George, we're kind of guiding him. Hey, we've been down this road. Like, be careful of this. We know some people. Let's talk about this. Let's get you out in front so it's harder to hurt you, And it worked well, and there he is, like this, testifying to Congress. To his left was Commander David Fravor, the guy that chased the UFO.
So what did they say?
David Grush said, I uncovered the fact that the United States government with other nations, I read into the programs. I can tell you everything in it for national security in a skiff, but here's the basics. There are UFOs. They're non-human intelligence. We have crash retrieval programs. We've been trying to exploit the technology.
Crash retrieval meaning if a UAP crashes, that we have a thing to go
I'm
get it.
suspicious of the crash thing. I think they're more like gifts, but whatever. Yeah, crash retrievals, they crash. Wow. We jump in with different agencies and, we collect up the material. We bring them over to like Battelle, BAE, Lockheed, Raytheon, whoever and we give them a piece and say, we don't know where it comes from, but we want you to reverse engineer it, whatever. That's what he's saying happens. Program names, everything. And he goes, and by the way, somebody asked him, were there any beings on some of these craft? And he says, yeah, on some of the crafts we retrieved biologics.
Do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
Biologics came with some of these recoveries, yeah.
He didn't say beings, bodies. He said biologics. And there's a reason he said that.
Yeah, why?
Well, I think you should ask Dave. He's smarter than me. But I
He's
think,
not here.
Yeah, it's true. Well, we can call
Keep
him.
going. Biologics.
Biologics. I think because we make the assumption that's why we changed it to non-human intelligence. We make assumption extraterrestrial, alien. Well, maybe they're from here. They're ultra-terrestrials. Maybe some of these things are just like printed flesh with AI. We'd call that a biologic.
Oh, I see.
Because we do that.
Yeah.
We print organs. So I think he's leaving the terminology open for interpretation. But what he's saying is, yeah, they're aliens and craft.
I remember talking to Larry Page, and he was saying for space travel, it doesn't necessarily have to be you go through these light years. For example, you can download your consciousness or brain into a computer, send that through a laser beam into a clone that's already been printed out. So there are different sort of, biologics.
That's way above my pay grade. Can I have more whiskey?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. I just I don't know, man. That's so cool. Is this what we're drinking?
Yeah.
That is so cool. And I would like to be part of that future. Just the idea that we might not know everything is kind of neat, Well,
that's why, when I say it's the biggest story, I mean, literally it changes everything, which is why.
Agreed.
Again, I understand your points. And again, I'm playing devil's advocate, but.
So am I.
But I'm just like, if it is the biggest story in the world, A, we have to break it. B, that's a lot of people.
Help me break it.
That will. That's a lot of. But look, that's why
I've been alone with George Knapp so long.
Sure.
My hair's long, my nails are long. I don't know who to trust.
We got to get more and more
Help
people.
me break the story.
You call in people like Snowden, and you call in people who can get in there. You get some hackers. We had this guy, one of the best hackers in the world, and he can hack anything. You're like, okay, let's just go talk to him.
But I don't know much about politics and stuff, but I'm not playing that game. I'm not playing this roundabout stealing shit game. I want our government. Okay, Mosul Orb. I gave that to him in 2023, and I've had the video. I was like, put it out. This is your chance to show goodwill to the American public. You're not hiding. And they didn't. I mean, not to make enemies, but they end up. There's a lot of good people that work in Arrow that I know personally that are good workers. There's a mandate from the top down to absolutely whitewash to the American public the ultimate truth. All you get to know is that UFOs are real. That's it. Don't ask another question. Don't ask about abductions. Don't ask about aliens. Don't ask about anything like that.
But if they say UFOs are real, then the follow-up questions.
I've got a lot.
But you can't say, well, UFOs are real, but then you can't ask us another question.
But they just did.
Right.
They did that. So this show is called Shane Asks Questions.
Yeah.
Help me.
Okay, what happened? So that guy, he did this thing saying, when I said nothing to see here, but he didn't say, okay. But he said, okay, you can't ask anymore. Then they fired him or he retired him or?
So David Grush, what happened was he basically, I guess you kind of resign when you leave. Right. And there's no whistleblower protections. Like he was going to make better rank and make better pay. And I think for all the whistleblowers who are about to come forward, because I've recorded with a bunch that we're going to put out if the government doesn't do its job and have them in the hearings.
Right.
Okay. So I think they should have protections for them. Yeah. David Grush should get back pay or whatever, like the rank pay. They have no safety net after. There's no safety net. So basically, I would say, I don't know if he resigned in protest like that guy, my friend, Lou Elizondo did. Yeah. He resigned in protest.
Who is the head of Aero.
Sean Kirkpatrick.
Yeah.
Dr. Sean
But didn't
Kirkpatrick.
he just resign?
Check this out. Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, he's straight up lying to the American public. I know he's lying because I sent Aero people to testify to test them. They testified.
Testify before Congress.
To testify within the intelligence community to Aero. It's not for the public to know. This is just people want to keep their jobs. They don't want to be known. They want to keep working.
Right. But to give Aero the story.
Yeah, the scoop, because Aero was mandated by Congress to find the cover-up.
Yeah.
That was the whole point.
And why did Congress mandate Aero to go find?
Great this is shame to ask the questions, man. Because there was legislation called the Disclosure Act, and they laid out how to give disclosure to the American public. Like Senator Rounds and Senator Schumer, who I think was like top dog of like the Democrats or something, they laid it out. Like you read it, it's shocking. Like if you, Lockheed, happen to have non-human technology and you're not sure how you got it anymore, but you feel uncomfortable, you can come to us. We'll eminent domain that.
Right. So basically, they knew it's out there. So they said, we're going to hire you. Well, not hire you. We're going to put you together to do this.
It wasn't written in a void, like all that legislation. But why was Aero really put together? To shape the emerging UAP narrative. Those exact words. If I've ever seen those in a document, it would be to shape the emerging UAP narrative. Why you got to shape something if it's made up?
Well, also, because it's growing in popularity, and so therefore
something's happening. It's coming out to some degree. People got cell phones, people talking, people are coming forward, whistleblowers. So, man. So Dr. Kirkpatrick, they watch all this stuff, by the way. I love it. I always get intel when people are watching stuff. Aero, when you watch this, why are you having your former director do a PR campaign on select podcasts where you try to say you can't trust whistleblowers when you are a known liar who goes against whistleblowers when you asked whistleblowers to come to you? Why do I send you whistleblowers as a test? And then they
don't put out what they...
And then they come back to me and I put it out. Why? Why is that happening? Why did Tim Phillips, the interim director of Aero, who's no longer any director of Aero, also going on a media tour and telling absolute lies to the American public? Now, the new director of Aero, I hear, is a really good guy. But he did say to a friend of mine, fact, I can't even part my hair without getting authorization. So even if he's a good guy, how much is he able to tell the American public that he wants to? Now, they've admitted some good things because they have to, because we forced them, because they look like dopes when they don't. They look like dopes when people come back to me, say, I testified to them and they lied. They look like dopes when they go to the Wall Street Journal and use Joel Sheckman as the guy that they're going to put out false information. And George and I tell Joel Sheckman, hey, that's factually incorrect. Here's the guy that was in the nuclear bunker. You got the story wrong. Just do a correction. And they don't. They double down and attack whistleblowers. So Aero, I got no love for them. Now, the employees of Aero, a lot of love for them. Good folks in there. From the top down, they got a mandate. And I'm going to say it one last time because no one ever listens to me. And I've been saying this for years. This one thing.
We're listening.
To shape the emerging UAP narrative. That is a CIA mandate. Wow. About media and the UFOs. They have something, by the way, that they call perception management. It's a office, and they have a budget, and that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, well, I definitely believe in perception management because they try to shape political consciousness and have been since...
Really?
Oh, yeah, since World War II.
I believe it.
But can you walk us through how you got and verified the Pyramid UFO Navy footage or the jellyfish footage, maybe?
Yeah.
What's that process look like?
To verify footage?
How you obtain it and then verify it and then...
I'm not going to tell you how I obtain it, but yeah, I'll tell you.
Okay, yeah.
But I'll tell you how I verify it because I'm very proud of this.
There you go. Okay, good.
Yeah. I use something called cosmic time and good journalism. So I'm in no rush. I never need to break another story in my life. The jellyfish footage was unique because it was filmed at a base, in a secret part of the base that was secretly a joint operations part of the base, secretly run by the CIA. So that was weird to begin with, But it takes...
And sorry, this is in Iraq?
Yeah, so that was Iraq, the jellyfish UAP.
Yeah.
So again, I don't know what the jellyfish is. I know that our government has deemed it a UAP, and I know that the CIA came and confiscated that footage, like even from within other government agencies. Like, so it's not just we're not supposed to see that. Like people in government are not supposed to see that. So it got leaked to me and to George. And the thing is, we usually wait to get something sent to us. We never solicit. That's the law. That's the handcuff law, right? Never solicit. But if stuff is leaked to us, we wait to like 2-3 times before we take it seriously, because we get a lot of all the time, right?
Yeah.
So with the jellyfish one, that was a Rubik's Cube, man, because the problem with that was, how do you validate something that's so specific? There's only a certain number of people that rotate in and out of that base for a very short amount of time. So protect sources, especially if they don't protect themselves, kind of thing, right? So we sat and we watched and started asking little questions, poking around. I was able, with George Knapp, we showed it on an iPhone to at the time, I think it was the former head of one of the UFO study groups, a couple of them. We showed them, I said, have you ever seen this before? And they were like, no. Like they'd seen something similar, but not that. So we're like, okay, cool. So then finally, when we got people that were aware, a very small group, of that footage, we heard the whole story. What happened is they filmed this thing. They all know it's different than anything before. They get drones flying in with bombs all the time at that base, right? Just normal DJI drone.
So they're very familiar with drones.
Bro.
Yeah.
That's their job.
Yeah.
Right? It's an aerostat.
And it's not balloons, right?
I can prove to you it's not balloons. I don't even want to do that right now. But yeah, it's not balloons.
I'm just
no, it's not you. But see, that's a good question.
I'm just bringing it up.
That's the world.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's a good question.
Yeah.
We have to eliminate balloons. Maybe it was balloons.
We've got to 8 Mile it.
What does that mean?
In 8 Mile, he knows what they're going to say bad things against them.
Eminem?
Eminem.
Oh, dude.
So he goes out there and he says, oh, yeah, you're going to say this, and I am white, and I did do this, and you did beat me up, and I'm still here saying the free world.
We got 8 Mile that.
We got 8 Mile.
We got 8 Mile. But also, like, because I'm interested in the truth, and sometimes the government's been wrong, right? So my reporting, if you look at it, if you just look at what I write, it's like very specific, right? So yeah, you got 8 Mile of that. But then also you have to so I'm on Cosmic Time and I do journalism. That's what I said to you. So what I do is
you search out people who are in the base, you verify.
Bro,
yeah.
It freaks people out. About 10 of my friends have called me in the last week saying FBI's contacting them. I'm so good now. I go, was it agent blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And I just said that to a guy at NASA.
Really?
And yeah, and I can like prove that to you right now, like after the show. It's like I am very fastidious, actually. I'll take that word for myself. So here's the deal. We take our time. George Knapp and I take our time. We have a web and a network of sources, and it pisses off agencies so much.
No, it's your job.
Thank you, Shane.
Yeah. I just want to get to a couple more questions because it has been fascinating. I haven't got to any many questions that I did so much research on. But for me, what I think, one of the reasons why I think it's going to break soon is, tomorrow I'm interviewing the head of quantum computing at...
Can I come? That sounds so cool.
At Google, and who now are further ahead than NORAD and China, the other two functioning quantum computers. There will be no more encryption.
Yes, correct. Absolutely know that, yeah.
And so a lot of these things that
there could be
hidden,
encryption, actually.
Well, there's not in traditional.
We'll argue about it after you go there.
Okay, there we go. But in any case, a lot of these things are, like a lot of these secrets are just going to come out. I mean, between marriage of AI and quantum, it's a fast moving field that.
Yes, it is.
Now, not necessarily Google's going to go out there and release everything, but people will have the tools with which to get in there. Now, what do we think of that some of the knock-on effects will be of, okay, let's follow your logic too, okay, that the government lied all of these years, and
the government, yes, certain elements of the government,
the deep state.
Okay. Oh, I don't know.
The deep state. The government knowingly lied to the people, but kept, again, the biggest story ever away from everybody. There will be repercussions for that. Or what happens when it breaks?
We need some sort of reconciliation process for the people that committed horrific crimes and are still committing them right now to whistleblowers.
Yeah.
Right now, you're going to hear from 3 first-hand whistleblowers as I define them on X. Just made sure I made it clear.
Yeah.
You're going to hear from them come hell or high water because George and I already recorded with them. So you're going to hear it in Congress.
Sorry,
like
you're recording now 3 whistleblowers.
more than that.
Right,
but
right.
I have offered to Congress who have asked me
Right.
3 first-hand whistleblowers.
Right.
I said, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
I got them to say yes. We have a hearing date coming. So if they do it, great. If Congress doesn't do it, and they're all great. Like Representative Luna has the task force. She's awesome. Representative Burchett, he's like fighting for the truth. Everybody's curious like me and you. They want to know the truth. If they don't go out through that process, if we get interference like we did at the last hearing where I brought the documents that everybody needed to see and they misappropriated the terminology to someone else and gave credit, it was so weird, but it was a bigger problem than people think. In journalism, it's about chain of custody, right? So they lied to the American public that day.
But do you think that, for example, you were saying some of the people are good, you just said the names. Do you think that they go along a certain way and then somebody comes and says, stop them, let's say, you can't go any further, or?
Yeah, it's way worse than that.
Okay, go. Tell me.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's everything from just, what do you call it when you work at a place, a bureaucratic terrorism, or administrative terrorism, holding people in purgatory with their clearances. So they work there, they don't work there, they're allowed to do what they're doing, they're not allowed to do what they're doing. You sit there, man, 7 months, 9 months, 2 years, you're never allowed out, man. And it's just because you saw something you weren't supposed to see, accidental, they call it spillage. There are so many issues like that. That's why people come to me, is because they've heard that I've helped other people. They trust me and I keep their secrets and then I help them and I move forward. And honestly, it's because I want to know what they know. I mean, there is a selfish aspect to it.
Yeah.
I want to know what's going on, but that has been a funny role that I've played is bringing people together.
So that's happening now, three whistleblowers.
Yeah, right now, man, like already recorded.
Wow.
Like, so if it doesn't come out in Congress under oath to the American public, and by the way, it's all safe, it's taking care of national security, don't worry, we're thinkers over here, right? The people talking, they're not idiots. They've worked their whole lives in the shadows. CIA, working in State Department, working in all official capacity you could imagine, from military to intelligence. They ain't dummies. They live here. They love this country. But this needs to come out, especially because they're being enacted against. So the next hearing is to protect whistleblowers. If we get this done, we set precedent. If David Grush, who I said was a baller, right, Godzilla, if that mother is taken care of,
so he's no longer working for the government.
Well, no. See, this is a historic thing. So Representative Burleson and the task force under Luna brought him as a whistleblower back into government because he had all the clearances for a limited time to be the kind of liaison to the world of whistleblowers to help them bring people forward to do congressional hearings. So it's weird. You get a whistleblower who's now a government employee again. So this is a guy who's a real credit to the intelligence.
Do you think there'll be any new information come out of that, those congressional hearings, or not?
100, but if they do the hearings, yes. If not, it'll come out on Weaponized with me and George Knapp, because we already recorded with him. We're going to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help us God.
There you go. But do you think that it'll come out through?
Do I think you're going to believe in UFOs after this? Is that what you're asking?
No, I'm asking do you think that there'll be new information out of these congressional hearings?
With 100% certainty, if congressional hearings are held with these whistleblowers, 100% you're going to get new information. And I can also assure you that if they don't, for some reason where the executive branch steps on their neck like Godzilla and stops them from doing it, that information is coming out anyway. It just won't be in a congressional setting. It's going to be through journalism.
And what would it take for, Area 51 or S4 or, these places to be opened up? Like but
we shouldn't open them up, man. Like great projects are
done. Open it up in the sense of you can show a little bit without, hurting the national security.
Missouri, I looked it up on Wikipedia, so no, it's true. Missouri is the show me state. Did I get that right?
Probably.
I think so. My dream is we take a craft, just one of them.
Yeah, exactly. The Jello mold. Take the
Jello mold.
Take the boring
no,
one.
I want the sport model. I want Bob's sport model because how nostalgic would it be for him to be in Missouri? Take the sport model.
Yeah.
Put it in a museum.
Yeah.
Now you can't dent this metal. You can't blow torch it. You can't do anything. Just do a little metal detector on the way in. Make sure people aren't crazy. Let them inside and look at the seats themselves. Let them go and hit a little hammer. Just have them on little strings.
Or feel it. Casey said when you feel it. Now the other thing is he said if you go underneath it, you couldn't see it because of the reverse magnetism.
When it's active, because there's gravitational distortion, allegedly, from a lot of these scientists have worked on them, there's a field propulsion system. So what happens is it energizes, becomes silent after it's maybe 15 feet up. Don't quote me on that. And then there's a wrapping, kind of like a warping of space-time. That's what they say. I don't know. This is wild, but you look up.
But to go back to it, if there's this wrapping of space-time and you can't see it, how does that explain the fact that we can see these other ones?
Yeah, well, sometimes obviously they want you to see them. So the thing is, Phoenix Lights, let's get really specific.
Yes, go.
Mass sighting.
So on March 13th, 1997, thousands reported seeing a V-shaped light formation in the sky. The Phoenix Lights.
Huge craft.
Really?
Oh, yeah. There's this Navy pilot that came to rent one of my properties, and he just looked at me, and his wife actually said it. She goes, "We saw it." So they did some research, and I was like, "Damn you, tell me what you saw. You can rent the house. Come on." No, this was in California, but he was a Growler pilot, and she had actually seen it with her family.
Wow.
And so this huge, she said from mountain to mountain, just blacked out the sky, but you could see a little swarming of the stars as if it was almost see-through, kind of like what you're talking about. The thing is, she's not alone. And her dad was a doctor, her mom was a lawyer. Okay, I get it, you're credible. So many people saw this. Even the governor of Arizona, there was too many calls, which is actually very instructive. We should talk about that. But too many calls to his office. So he came out with an alien costume.
And now I'll ask Officer Stein and his colleagues to escort the accused into the room so that we may all look upon the guilty party. Don't get him too close to me, please.
He goes, "I found the culprit," and he has him in handcuffs.
Joking.
Yeah, nothing to see here, move on. Problem is, a buddy of mine named James, right? He made a movie and interviewed the guy, the governor of Arizona at the time.
All right. The guy who came out of the...
Yeah, decades later. And what he said was, "I saw it too." And he was a fighter pilot, a trained observer. And he says, "I couldn't say it at the time. It would have caused panic. So he did that stunt." But he was repenting. He's like, "I saw it too. There's nothing we have that can do that."
I think we both, maybe we don't agree. I would say I don't think it causes panic. I don't think it causes panic.
I agree.
I don't think, this whole thing of it's
it
going to cause
doesn't.
panic. I think it's going to cause a lot of people to go, finally, come on now.
I agree. But I think also we're getting there, remember, because it was such stigma to the point where now on Navy ships, my boys are doing something really cool. So because of mine and George's reporting, not solely, but a lot because of it, if you label it UAP, it's instantly classified. That's a new thing. However, if you label it a UAS, unmanned aerial system, it's not instantly classified. So the dudes that write down things in ships, I know a lot of them. 2019, they wrote UAS. So that's how we know about it. That's how
The Mosul thing would be a UAS, looks like a UAS to me.
Unmanned. Well, you're talking about a drone. So whatever that is, the Mosul orb.
Well, just a small little orb going there.
And that's I don't know what size it is because until now, I haven't had the I call them nerds. George Knapp calls them online detectives. I gave everybody the actual numeric imprint from the footage so you can see altitude, flight path, all that stuff. Now that as of today, they have the video, although the government blocked out all the numbers, it's only 4 seconds long. They can reverse engineer that. And I am so curious, what is the size? Is it the size of a nickel? Is it the size of, a house? How big is it? I don't know. I'm not a nerd.
Did you ever see the movie Don't F with Cats?
I think I have.
It's about the
on Netflix or something.
Yeah, it's he's laughing. It's
What?
a fantastic.
It's good, right?
No, it's a fantastic movie. But basically, you're gonna like this. It's a fantastic movie because basically, this guy with cats. He killed some cats, right?
Ew.
Exactly. And so, but these sleuths, online sleuths, like there's like hundreds of thousands.
Oh, I have seen it. It's
They
coming back.
find him for murder.
Thousands of people looking to find this guy. There was a tidal wave of leads that were coming in.
I wasn't going to stop until I found him.
Clearly, this video is not the end.
And they get him, they catch him for murder, and they followed him because of the murder of these cats, right?
Oh, he did that stabby thing on the bed? The weirdo?
Well, he killed somebody in Montreal.
Yeah. Did he do that stabby thing and pretend to eat him or something, bro? Is that what he did?
I don't know.
He was that dude that was like...
But anyway, I'm just saying what's interesting about that
Weird
is...
dude.
What's interesting about that is that there's people out there
Yeah.
that can solve...
Yes.
Anything.
Dude.
Online with footage. So we need to mobilize, if anyone's watching this, the Don't with Cats type people out in the world and say, let's look at these different types of footage.
Without bias, Shane.
No.
Because but hold on. You know about the world. This is such an impassioned... I have never seen people go more crazy over something other than animals, like cats. And I'm down with that. You fuck up a dog, I'm more f***ing up, right?
Yeah.
But with the UFO thing, we all have a bias. I like to believe I don't. But I do. My bias is that, oh, come on. We're not alone. You think you're the smartest monkey? Somebody else got here. But so that's my bias, right? But I try to eliminate and take that out. There are paid people online to tell you that the Mosul orb is a pothole. Like, I know they're paid. They've admitted they're paid, that kind of thing. So you're up against again, perception management is an actual, like they actually have an office. I want to go in there.
100%.
So I'm saying that, yes, let's crowdsource the UAP problem. The puzzle. Let's crowdsource the UAP puzzle. Yes. Not one piece of footage is going to be the end all and be all. This is just to provoke and to expose people for telling the truth or not telling the truth. This is a tool to get to the bigger.
Also, if you get hundreds of millions of people all, by the way, clamoring and electing people, that's how you get elected. It's going to force information to the fore. And so if it becomes a big issue that a lot of voters are saying, what the hell are you doing? Then
I agree.
Yeah.
And your optimism is inspirational to me because I've been, kind of fighting this battle. Not even like George Knapp's been fighting for 40 years alone, right? I pulled him back in. I'm sure he was going to quit a billion times. He told me he would, right? The fact you're a journalist and you're saying, let's solve this, dude, I don't have many people that want to solve this. Your optimism that we're going to solve it, it's either naive and inspirational. Because
probably both.
George thought he was going to solve it in 6 months. Just need a good journalist on this. Yeah. That's all we need. Yeah. Bro, it's like we're smashing our heads against a wall with online armies of people trying to stop us from doing journalism. If you're going to really dive in any way, I can tell you who to speak with. I can tell you who's legitimate, who's full of shit. I am happy to tell you I got a loud mouth.
Well,
save you 10 years.
There we go. Good. I would like to, on that note, keep the channels open. This is an ongoing discussion.
Yeah.
Because it feels like there's sort of a critical mass.
I agree.
And so if there is a critical mass going, there's you've been in the fight a long time. I come in and there's another guy, we bring in more and we get to Don't with Cats people and we get everybody. And then, you talk to some people in government, in politics, et cetera, et cetera.
Like too much.
I mean, there's a lot of people like, and maybe it's just lip service, but it was a concern to the Republican base about, JFK not releasing it. So they didn't release all of it, but they released a bunch of it. And of course, what it proves is that the CIA were working with the people who killed JFK, which is what they didn't want to have happen. Yeah, everybody knew that because everybody knew it.
But I think that's the plan. Yeah.
Whistleblowers, right? So look, all of the truth will out.
Yes.
And so,
always.
let's keep the dialogue open, And if there is any breaking news, you're going to come here and we're going to talk about it.
Well, you're going to be a busy man because I'm going to be breaking news like it's nobody's business. I'm like a propulsion system that is going to continuously be breaking news because I made a decision. And this is real. I'm going to tell you something real right now.
Yeah.
And you'll see this. You'll actually see this documented, which is interesting. George Knapp and I made a decision. And our decision is that we're going to he thinks he doesn't have long to live. And I'm thinking, like, let's do this, right? We're going to put our best stuff forward. We're going to try to provoke. We're going to push. We're not going to stop. We've made a decision to put out our best evidence and, be damned everything else because, people have not liked what we've done, but it anyway.
There you go.
Okay. Thank you for having me on.
Thank
I appreciate
you,
it. It's nice to re-meet you. It's
there you go.
Different to meet you now.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
This was awesome.
Thank you so much for just having the conversation.
Thanks, buddy. No, it was great.
Yeah. I don't know if we're going to crack it, but you're
No, well, it's first steps. First step.
Thank you for the whiskey, man. You ever come to Ojai, you guys all invited have a sip of mine.